Guruji,
Yeah.
I'm afraid to agitate you too because you like to smoke, and I kind of find it irritated because constantly smoking. And you mentioned to live with Guru to be agitated, right? So, I mean, I feel I am a little bit agitated because irritating my breathing. So how do you say about this? Because I'm watching my mind too, not to be agitated and get beyond my mind. So I kind of follow, but this thing is kind of bring up this concept of being agitated. So how do I be free from this? Like without concept and still living in this situation.
Well, you have to understand my situation. My situation is that I'm not at all annoyed, irritated, agitated by the question or by your disturbance of it. You see, what you have to understand is this, that this body-mind is no different from your body-mind. In other words, all body-minds have, a certain conditioning. And so whether you're enlightened or not really is irrelevant to the body-mind. So if I have a habit of smoking, it is no reflection on my state of being. I mean, agitated not only owned a cigarette shop, but he smoked for the rest of his life as a spiritual teacher, as a guru. And so the body conditioning will be the body conditioning. Now, if that in itself disturbs and agitates you, then it is not my doing. And all I can say to you is this, that being in the place that I am, where there is no self, therefore no fear or desire, and no agitation or disturbance, that's where you need to get to. Because you see, a lot of things are different for different people. And what I say to people is, if this situation disturbs you, the same situation will not disturb someone else. So it's not the situation itself that's disturbing or agitating. It's your attitude, your perception of it. So, although your mind believes that your agitation and your disturbance is actually coming from the situation, it is not. Because someone else who was here, who equally smokes a lot, would not be disturbed or agitated by it. So it is not the situation. Don't blame things that are outside of yourself. Look at yourself, or watch yourself constantly. So this agitation, disturbance, is nothing to do with me smoking. It's something to do with you. The fact that at this time you haven't dropped this self, and so there is still fear and desire in you, and there is still agitation and disturbance, which is all to do with the self, which is still there. Once the self has dropped, has gone, which is so in my case, then there is nothing, no situation which is going to cause agitation and disturbance. So we're getting to the point where not that the agitation and disturbance will disappear, but that the self will disappear. And once that's gone, then there will be no agitation and no disturbance, and then enlightenment will be there. You will realize that you're pure consciousness, and none of these situations you come across, which you will always come across in this life, is ever going to disturb you again.
Buddha taught refrain from harming to generate bodhicitta, loving kindness toward others. How do you say about this? I mean, how do you say about this applying to look within without self?
Yeah, I mean, there's two answers to this. First of all, that someone who has no self is not likely to do harm to anyone anyway. We do harm, damage to others because of our self and our selfish nature. So once that is fully gone, you see, Buddha was speaking to those that had not become fully realized. So in that case, you will live your life and you do your practices, doing no harm, deliberately practicing, doing no harm to anyone. But when the full enlightenment dawns, there is no desire to do any harm. You don't have to try not to do any harm. It is simply not there. But it will be there so long as you haven't got to this place of enlightenment. And therefore, you have to practice not doing any harm to anyone else.
I'm a little bit confused about non-doing, and well, maybe it's because enlightenment being has no desire.
See, when you say you're confused, you are confused because you're trying to understand it with your intellectual mind.
Yes.
When this event occurs, and you can't do it, which we call enlightenment, which we call becoming conscious, aware of pure consciousness, it all falls away, and you recognize that it is not actually you that's doing anything. That your life is being lived, and it's being lived, if you like, by pure consciousness. And so what you considered before to be doing is now no longer doing by you. It is being done through you. Your life is being lived, and that's what I see as non-doing. It is simply it is happening. It is being done, but it is not being done by me, because there is no me. The self was gone. And you see, until you actually get to that point, you will always try and understand this in an intellectual way, and it's impossible. But the moment it drops, that's the moment that non-doing comes into being. It is simply not you that's doing it. If someone next door took out their garbage, you wouldn't say it was you doing it. You are sitting there doing nothing. And so every event in your life, every action in your life, once you are enlightened, is being done through you. You are not doing anything.
I guess, I can understand a little bit of this intellectually. For those enlightened beings, they are free from desire, and they continue living their life with their desire, with their habit.
Yeah.
They are not touched by others' judgment on
right.
them, and they are liberated.
I know the key to all this is simply, allowing the self to drop. Mm-hmm. The self is that thing which has everything, which wants everything, which fears everything. And once that self is dropped, see, I cannot explain to you what this is like, because it is beyond words, it's beyond the mind. This is why I'm saying you cannot understand it in any intellectual way. Mm-hmm. But once it's happening, see, you cannot see this until you see it. You cannot know it until you know it, unlike a belief system that can be explained to you and described to you, and then you can decide whether you want to believe it or not. With this understanding, with this truth, it is not a belief system. It is a seeing, it is a knowing that is not dependent on any kind of intellectual understanding. So I'm saying that you have to see it, you have to know it, and you can only see it when you see it. You can only know it when you know it. And so this is what enlightenment and awareness of pure consciousness is. So once this little me, this I, this self has dropped away, then obviously all these desires and all these fears that this little self, this little me, this little I suffers for an entire lifetime vanishes.
Yes.
I just don't have it. You see, I haven't done anything.
Yes.
There is nothing special about me except the me, the self, has disappeared in the sense that I realize that it had no real existence in the beginning.
Yes. Because we as ordinary human being, we have desire, expectation of certain thing, habitually. So if we try to change others,
Exactly.
it will never be done.
Exactly.
All the time and end up with suffering. So best is what you see outside. Don't try to change
That's right.
other. Change yourself.
What is it that
Right.
is trying to change? What is it that's trying to change in someone else? It's this self.
They
You know,
need to be dropped.
And don't forget that all this is part of the dream world anyway.
Yes.
And I would say, does it actually matter what happens in the dream? One of the things that happens when this thing happens, which we call enlightenment, we become less concerned about, if you like, the concerns and the tragedies of other people. We want to help them. Some people choose not to. We want to help them, but it's not as taken as seriously as the person themselves, because we realize that it is part of the dream. And what we are trying to do is not get rid of one problem, this problem, that problem, not trying to help that person deal with this situation, that situation, but to get them to drop this idea of self. Once that is dropped, all problems are resolved, because all problems are related with the self.
So do you mean that even though I'm here and I'm agitated by Guru,
Yeah.
and I should drop this concept of being agitated, just continue doing
No, don't drop it. Don't drop it. Go into it. Go deeper into it.
go deep into it. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
Allow
not
yourself.
to,
Allow yourself to be, agitated. Don't try and stop it. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel bad about it. Allow yourself to go into it. Allow it to be, be even worse, until it can cause a cascade, a trauma that will help you stop it. The moment you try and say, well, I'm going to deal with this, I'm going to make it better, then you are ruining the whole thing. Get mad.
Yes, as
Get
I am.
angry. Scream and shout. Kick the wall. Get to a state where, it is so awful that the whole thing just collapses like a cascade. So don't avoid it. Don't try and deal with it. Get into it. Get angry.
Yes.
No guru, spiritual teacher, is going to be, well, not me, is going to get angry, unless it's going to be a kind of play acting to help you. Because if there's no self in that spiritual teacher, in that guru, then there's no anger, because no desire, there's no fear, there's none of these things. So you can say what you like to your guru, different gurus of course have different methods, and some of them might actually hit you, or get angry
Yes.
back, but it's all play
Some
acting.
Guru might hate you.
It's all play acting, it's all
But I
meant
love
to,
you.
it's all meant to get you there. And so I say to everybody, if you have agitation, if you have disturbance, don't try and deal with it. Don't try and pacify your mind. It is impossible. You need to get into it and see it. Before long, you will be seeing it as some other, and not as yourself. Now, once that starts happening, you recognize that there is some other watching that agitation. Now, who is this some other? See, the one with the agitation and disturbance is the self. Ask yourself, well, if I can see that, who is it that's watching? Well, it's pure consciousness. And that's who you are. And what will happen? The whole thing will just disappear. In a puff of smoke. And you're there.
Thank you.